Well, good morning, everyone. Really nice to see all your faces from so many parts of the world and to be practicing together today. This is, it's a joy, it's wonderful, and it's also an essential thing we're doing here. And my name is Fugan, and I am joining you from Village Zendo on Cape Cod, where we practice with a small group of hardy practitioners here on this little spit of land jutting out into the Atlantic. And I do see at least one of my fellow Cape Codders out here. Thank you for coming, and thank you everyone for being here today. And so here on the Cape, I'll give you a little bird report, which seems to be what I like to do for some reason. And the osprey have returned, and that's important. For me anyway, I think this marks the arrival of spring out here. And these are remarkable birds. They are little birds of prey that we see soaring over the marsh just outside the Zendo here, and they fish all along the beaches of the Cape. And they come back year after year and are really quite precise in their arrival. And there's a pair of osprey that have been nesting just down the street for more than a decade, and they've built this huge nest over the years. And this year there is actually a new pair that have built a nest just nearby on a platform that the town put up near one of our beaches. And so it's a sign of spring when they come back. And it's also a sign of this great success of environmentalism. When I was a kid, there were no ospreys on the Cape. I think they were down to one or two breeding pairs out here. And this was because of DDT, which really wiped out almost all the osprey population. And since the 70s, they've rebounded, and there's hundreds and hundreds of pairs on the Cape. And that kind of success feels important today, where our environment is under great threat, perhaps the biggest threat in eons, right? All the protections and progress that have been made seem to be being undone, and a kind of very partial list of what's happening is that we've withdrawn as a nation from climate agreements. Our government is, promoting fossil fuels while hindering the move to clean energy. We're weakening and dismantling environmental protections and undermining the work to monitor what's even happening in the environment. Lands and waters are being opened for exploitation, for oil and gas, and there's been a curbing of the endangered species protections. Old pollutants that we thought we've kind of pushed behind us, like mercury, are being allowed back into the air and water. And there's even a scrubbing of the language about climate change. And this list goes on, and I'm sure many of you could recount it in great detail. And this is alongside countless cruel actions being taken against very vulnerable people. And it's being undertaken in an incompetent way, which is somewhat of a blessing, but also a curse. There's immense suffering on the rise, and it's going to clearly lead to more and more future suffering. And so there's a lot of reason to be pissed off today. And our awareness of what's going on in the world, this bearing witness that we do, can give us energy to act. And in fact, I know watching the email thread from Village Zendo and other communities, the Buddhist world is acting. But the flagrant cruelty, these displays of greed and ignorance, also make it really easy to fall into ideas of right and wrong, to fall into anger, and to diminish our own capacity to respond rather than just react, to diminish our ability to alleviate suffering and be of service. And so today I want to focus our attention on divisions in ourselves that hinder our abilities to be present, and on how we can act and move in this moment. And really, I think I want to talk about our encounter with this moment, which is our encounter with our lives and the lives of all beings. And sometimes division is a life and death question. And sometimes it's really about nothing important. But the process is the same. We create something, this and that. We see what's impermanent and conditional as being permanent and essential. And we cling and we get stuck. We get stuck on one side or the other. We fall into delusions and separation. And suffering arises as a result. And this is what Shakyamuni Buddha saw way back then. And he offered a path of practice. He offered us a practice, a way to understand ourselves and the world that doesn't lead to anger and more suffering. It also doesn't lead to withdrawal or quiescence, to impotence. It leads us to skillful action, to an encounter with this moment rather than an encounter with our ideas about what this moment is or should be. And this is the path of meditation that we're doing this morning. And it's, as importantly, the path of meditation functioning in the world. Practice functioning as wisdom, as prajna. And this functioning of practice is not separate. It's not a result of meditation. As the sixth patriarch put it, meditation itself is the substance of wisdom. Wisdom is the function of meditation. So this wisdom is readily available in this moment of meditation, not something that we're going to attain at some future date, right now. And there's a koan that points to this in a very effective way, and I've found it useful over the years and want to return to it this morning. And this is case 29 in the Mumonkan. Neither the wind nor the flag. So in the koan, the wind was flapping a temple flag, and two monks were arguing about it. One said the flag was moving, the other said the wind was moving. Arguing back and forth, they could come to no agreement. The sixth patriarch said, it's neither the wind nor the flag that's moving, it's your mind that is moving. The two monks were struck with awe. That's a simple koan. Is it the wind or the flag moving? Well, it's a light question. Doesn't seem like life and death. But it points directly to our habit, our propensity, our imperative to divide the world, to cling to one side, to cling to the other. It's low stakes in this case, but understanding the process of sticking is really central to our practice, to waking up, to being able to activate skillful means in a moment of crisis, which we're in. And of course, in this case, both wind and flag are required. right? Without the wind, the flag is just a limp piece of cloth. And without the flag, the wind is invisible. And we know that the wind animates the flag speaks in the wind's voice. But the koan isn't about creating a logical solution to these monks' rather inane argument. It's not about knowing, but it's about the barriers we erect to encountering the moment. And the sixth patriarch came upon this scene, and this sixth patriarch's name is Huineng. And he's a really important character in the Zen history, and his life was not easy. His father died when he was young, and he grew up miserably poor. Miserably poor is how his life was described. He was illiterate. He earned a living for himself and his mother in hard labor as a woodcutter in the mountains. And one day he heard someone chanting the Diamond Sutra, and hearing a line from the sutra, he had an insight. And right then and there, he devoted his life to understanding the way. And he left his mother and went in search of the fifth patriarch, Daman Hongren. And when he arrived at Hongren's monastery, the fifth patriarch quickly recognizes Huineng's insight, his natural ability, but he's also aware that the monks in his monastery wouldn't accept this illiterate woodcutter among them. And so he had him work in an outbuilding in a shed, pounding rice to clean away the hulls, this grueling work. And Huineng did this for 8 months. And over that time, he has some interactions with the fifth patriarch. And he demonstrates his true understanding of the Dharma, especially in this famous poetry contest, which I encourage you to look into. And the fifth patriarch offers him the robe and bowls as a symbol of the transmission. And he warns him to leave quietly in the night and to stay hidden, because he knows these other monks are not going to accept this transmission. And nevertheless, the monks find out, and a large group sets off in pursuit of Huineng. And there was a fierce monk who was a former general who was at the front of this pack. And he catches up to Huineng 2 months later on a mountain ridge. And there, Huineng responds to this challenge by the monk, this angry monk, by opening him up to non-duality. He says, think neither good nor evil. In just that moment, what is your original nature? In just this moment, what is it? What am I? Flag and wind and you, what is it in this moment? And after this, Huineng stays hidden. He joins a band of hunters with whom he lives for more than a decade, sharing in their lives and their suffering and knowing what their lives are about. And Huineng recounts the story of his life in the Platform Sutra. And this, alongside the Vimalakirti Sutra, is one of 2 sutras not credited to the historical Buddha, not credited to Shakyamuni Buddha's words. And this placement demonstrates the importance of his teaching in our lineage. And that Huineng is illiterate comes up a few different times in the Platform Sutra. And it highlights his understanding, that his understanding didn't arise from book knowledge, from conceptual points of view. It's born out of this lived experience. A poor young man, and then pounding rice for 8 months in the monastery, receiving the transmission, being chased down, going on the lam, living with these hunters for more than a decade, and finally reemerging. And the encounter with these 2 monks and the flag happens just when Huineng returns to the monastery and begins his long teaching career. And Huineng's teachings form the basis for the flowering of Zen in China, and it's really at the heart of our Soto teaching. And so in the koan, Huineng is addressing a fundamental source for our suffering. Each monk is clinging to a side. Right? Is it the wind or the flag? They're clinging to right and wrong. They are liberal or conservative, Democrat, Republican, me and you, clinging, separate, dualism, difference. Right? And they're missing the moment so clearly. Right? Holding on to fixed views, these monks cannot encounter the flag blowing in the wind, only their ideas. And so the koan is asking us, how do we encounter this moment? Right? This moment that is filled with pain and suffering and division. How do we encounter this complexity? Right? And of course, our lives are all about working with divisions. We have to know which way to turn to get home. We have to know when to speak out and how to do that effectively. But if we cling to one side or the other, like these monks, we get stuck. And it's messy. And in fact, our minds right now, with all this messiness, are exactly Huineng's meditation practice. He warns us not to discard the 10,000 things, right? All the dharmas, the divisions in the world. Self-nature, he said, contains the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things are all self-nature. If we try to still our mind, avoiding 10,000 things, all the divisions, we fall into what he calls a neutral kind of emptiness, an attachment to an idea of emptiness that's bland and stuck. He calls it insentient. And Huineng says people who argue about which comes first and which comes second, like these monks, like us, only confuse themselves. Unless you put an end to right and wrong, you'll give rise to self-existent dharmas, and you will never be free of the four states. We'll never be free of those things that bind us. And so he teaches us one practice, samadhi. At all times, whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, always practicing with a straightforward mind. And so in the koan, Huineng tells the monks, it's neither the wind nor the flag that's moving, it's your mind that is moving. Right? This mind, this one true nature. Right? The flag blows, the wind blows, the moment is flowing. And if your mind is at odds with this, we get stuck and separated, angry and isolated, and can't act. And these are the monks. Clinging mind, stuck in their causes and conditions. And so he offers them this other perspective, and they are, quote, struck with awe. It would be great if this was freedom for these monks, but perhaps not. And Mumonkan, in his commentary, warns us that these monks haven't seen through it. It is neither the wind nor the flag nor the mind that is moving, says Mumonkan. Where do you see the heart of the patriarch? So we can't even create a story out of Huineng's mind moving. If we do, we're separated from this flag, from this moment. John Dido Laurie wrote, cottonwood seeds know how to ride the wind. Right? And these monks got stuck in awe. They didn't know how to ride the wind. And so when Mumonkan says it's neither the wind nor the flag nor the mind that is moving, he's quoting the monk Miao Xin, who was a student of Yangshan. And Miao Xin was speaking to some traveling monks who were on their way to visit her teacher, and they were arguing about this koan. And she pointed them in the right direction by even taking away mind. Don't rest anywhere. An unfettered mind is really at the heart of Huineng's teaching. If we attach to the mind moves, we create even another separation, perhaps a more dangerous one because it sounds so nice in the Zen world. So when Mumonkan says the wind moves, the flag moves, the mind moves, all of them have missed it. He's warning us not to get caught anywhere, even in our own idea of practice. Instead, he asks, where do you see the patriarch right now? And this is a sincere, straightforward question. This is a question we have to ask ourselves. And Daido also wrote, the wind blows, the grasses bend. The more you direct yourself to it, the further away you move. There's nothing that can be done about spring. When it arrives, it is truly here. And so here it has arrived. The osprey have returned, and to celebrate their lives and our lives is really spring flowering. We can feel the wind, see the world appearing, and recognize these divisions that arise within us at this perilous moment. We see the suffering in the world, ours and others, and we respond from our practice, meditation as wisdom, as response. Recognizing the divisions within and around us is flowing. Recognizing is not being caught in the wind, the flag, or even in mind. And then we can fully act, not adding poison to the world, but creating space for healing. And I'm going to end with a short poem by John Gavin White. The flag in the wind never ceases to amaze those that really see. Thank you.